Hi, so this is a tutorial on how to do that kind of like crystal vignette effect that is in Lustrous Spirit. Um, this kind of effect is it's a post-process shader, and it can be made in basically any game engine that'll let you edit post-processing. So I'm going to show you in Unreal, but it works for like Unity and probably other engines. But yeah. So here's how you do it. Um, let's create a post-process material. So I'll just call it PP for post-process glass vignette. And yeah, so all we really need is to create a material, and we'll need a texture. I like to use this caustic normal texture. You can find this kind of thing for free online in various like VFX texture places and websites. I'll try to find one and link it in the description. But yeah, get a texture like this, and then set up your post-process material. So in Unreal, to do that, you add a post-process volume to the scene. You search up like materials in the settings, and then you press add, choose asset reference, and then you drag your material over. And then you'll probably also want to enable infinite extent, which means that this filter will happen like no matter where we are in the scene. Okay, and so let's go and edit this material. We're going to need to change the material domain on the left here to post-process. And then, oops, not that. We're going to need to add, like right now it's just all black, so if we hit apply, the entire scene is just going to become totally dark. And so we need to bring back the scene texture. So it's going to add a scene texture node. This is just how you do it in Unreal. Then the sample you need to use is the one called post-process input 0. This is basically how you make any kind of post-process filter in Unreal. We're going to drag that into the color here, and we have our vision back. So the way that we're going to make this glass effect is basically by displacing like what's in this picture a little bit, and that'll make it look like this refracting effect. And so to do that, we need to push the pixels of this image around a bit, and we do that by like adding to the UVs. And so by default, this post-process input is using the screen position viewport UV. So which basically looks like this. It's like a UV, but it just spans the entire screen, even if you like resize it and stuff. So as you can see, if we plug in viewport UV into that UV slot, it looks totally normal. However, if we start to add to this viewport UV, we basically are displacing the image. So if we add 0, it looks the same. If we add 0.1, 0.2, it's like starting to shift it to the top left. And so basically, instead of adding just like a whole value and shifting everything evenly, we're going to want to shift things based on a texture. We're going to use that caustic normal texture from before. So I'm adding a texture sampler. You can hold down T and left click, and it'll add a texture sampler. It's a shortcut I use all the time. Then you search up, let's see, caustic normal. I think that's the same one. And then, yeah, so the UVs are, UVs have two channels. You have the red channel and the green channel. And so to get a nice displacement effect, we're going to want to add a 2-channel vector to it. And so we're just going to take the red and green channels of this normal map, and we're going to combine them into a little vector using the append vector node. And then we're going to add it. And it is insanely strong after we do that. So we are going to multiply it. I'm going to multiply it by like 0.2. It'll still be pretty strong, but yeah, there you go. So this is cool, but the way I did it in Lustrous Spirit was it was only at the edges because I didn't really want to like make like what you're trying to look directly at all refracted. So to do that, we're gonna add a radial gradient node, which this will basically make us like let us create a like vignette around the screen. If we plug in the viewport UV, and see what that looks like. You see it's basically created this little fuzzy disk around the screen. And so basically in this image, I'm actually gonna invert it really quick. Basically in this image, where the white is where we want the effect to be strongest, and where the black is, we want it to be the weakest. And so basically, and like when it's gray, we want it to be like somewhat strong. And so basically, we're gonna interpolate between, we'll have a version of the scene that's just normal, and then we have the version of the scene or the image or whatever that's like all refracted. And we want when this mask is black, we want it to be the normal, and when it's white, we want it to be the refracted version. So we're going to use this lerp node to interpolate between the two. And as you can see, it's still, I mean, it's like better, but it's still not great. So let's just tweak the values a little bit. Let's do this. I'm going to make a new parameter called vignette radius. The default radius value for this is 0.5, so let's start it at 0.5. Let's plug it in, and then if we make the radius bigger, it should be more like what we want. 0.6, 0.7, so like 0.8, 0.9. This is good. Honestly, I might also just subtract like 0.1 from this, then make sure it's between 1 and 0. Because like you see there's still a little bit of like refraction going on at the center here. And I don't really want any to be at the center. So if we do this, yeah, more like that. Cool. And so if you want to see what this mask looks like, now we've basically just made it bigger and darker so that the effect is more just pushed towards the edge. I'll bring this back down to like 0.8. Maybe something like that's better. Sure. And yeah, so that's the basics of the effect, but it gets a little, I did some other changes to make it look a little nicer too. So if we go back into here, there's more stuff to look at. You can see, wow, that's sick. We got this little glass edge at the edge of the screen. And so a few ways that I think it would make it look better is, first, I think this glass effect is a little, like the glass chunks are a little too big, so I'm going to make them smaller just by multiplying viewport UV by 2, using that as the texture UVs. So now it's like, I think this is just a nicer size. And then I am going to, what else? Oh, it'd be good to make a parameter. Let's call it vignette displacement strength for this variable here, because that's probably something you want to tweak a bit. Just gonna apply that. If we make it like 0.5, it'll be like super strong. Whoa. I'm gonna bring it back to 0.2. And then one other thing I did for Lustrous Spirit was I wanted the edge of the screen to get desaturated too. I thought it just looked nice. Unreal applies like a dimming effect to the edge of the screen by default, which is like, it's a little hard to tell, but it helps like focus your vision towards the center of the screen. But I also wanted to add a desaturation towards the other screen because I just think it's a fun artistic thing. So I'm just gonna add a desaturation node here. Or take this, we're gonna desaturate it by, let's say, let's call this vignette desaturation. Let's set it to like 0.8 or something pretty high. And then once again, we're going to use this mask to interpolate. So at the edge of the screen, or sorry, at the center of the screen, it's going to be unchanged, but at the edge of the screen, we're going to use this desaturated one, which as you can see, this is just like, you know, the image but desaturated. So if we do that, oh yeah, okay. We're gonna get this error because these scene texture nodes output a vector with like 4 values. There's red, green, blue, and then like lightness or something. But then this desaturation turns it into a 3 vector, and that's what this error at the bottom is telling us. And so what we need to do is we need to append another vector to this, which can just be like a 0 or something, and then it'll be happy. And there we go. And it's a little hard to tell, but I think making it desaturate near the edges helps it feel glassier and like, I don't know. I think it's just nice. But yeah, this is basically how you do it, how you make this glass effect. And yeah, it's kind of fun to play with the values. Like you can turn the displacement strength up to like 0.5, and if you turn the vignette radius down to like 0.6, you can get some like really freaky stuff. Like, whoa, it's crazy. But yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, and hope that was helpful.